At 11:18 p.m., Mara checked her Instagram profile visitor times and saw the same window again. No like, no story view from his main account, no message. But the visit time was there, and it kept landing right after she changed one tiny thing on her profile. That was the part that bothered her, because the photo she posted that night was barely a soft launch. It was a diner table, 2 milkshakes, a receipt folded in half, and the sleeve of a guy sitting across from her. No face, no tag, no name. If you did not already care, there was nothing to find. Mara told herself that was the point. She had not spoken to Theo in 31 days. Theo was not her ex, exactly. That was the annoying part. He was the guy who took her to dinner for 3 months, kept a toothbrush at her apartment, called her on his drive home, then suddenly said he did not want to label things because labels made people perform. Mara hated that sentence because it sounded thoughtful if you were tired enough, so she stopped asking. For a month, she posted normally. Coffee, gym mirror, one blurry concert story. Theo never watched from his main account. He never liked anything. He never replied. Then, Ben took her to a 24-hour diner after a movie, and Mara posted the milkshake photo at 10:57. It was harmless, almost boring. At 11:18, her profile visits jumped. One jump means nothing. Mara knew that. People tap around, friends check, random accounts land on profiles all the time. But at 11:24, her roommate Jules got a follow request from a blank private account. No photo, no bio, 23 following, 4 followers. Jules came into Mara's room holding her phone like it had personally insulted her. She said, "Do you know a person called North Window Archive?" Mara laughed at first, because that sounded like either a fake account or a furniture store. Then Jules turned the screen around. The account had requested her 6 minutes after Mara's profile visit spiked. Mara still did not want to make it a thing. That was the embarrassing part of these situations. The second you say, "I think he might be checking," you hear yourself from outside your own body and you sound ridiculous. So she ignored it. The next morning she opened Instagram and saw the part that made her stomach drop a little. The blank account had followed the diner. Not a famous restaurant, not a trendy place with a million reels, a small, late-night diner with a crooked neon sign and 1,200 followers. Mara had not tagged it, but the receipt in her photo showed the corner of the name. That was when she stopped treating it like a single weird moment. She did not need a confession. She needed the timeline. This is where Synapse AI became useful for her, not because it could magically name a hidden person, and not because Instagram gives you some perfect secret list. It does not work like that. What helped was seeing the pattern in order. Post at 10:57. Profile visit cluster around 11:18. Jules gets the blank request at 11:24. Blank account follows the diner the next morning. One piece by itself was weak. Together, it felt less random. And the strange part was not even the diner follow. It was what happened 2 days later. Mara did not post Ben again. She did not want to feed the situation. She did not want to turn a new person into bait for an old one. But she did change her pinned posts. She moved an old beach photo to the front because she liked the color. Nothing romantic, no secret message, just a better-looking grid. At 9:43 p.m., the visit time cluster came back. At 9:51, the blank account looked at Jules's public tagged photo from the diner night. Jules only noticed because she had one of those tiny public albums from her birthday week, and the diner photo was in it. Again, this did not prove Theo was behind the account. That matters. It could have been someone else, a friend, a bored stranger, a person who knew Theo, a person who knew Ben. The internet makes coincidence look personal all the time. But Mara was no longer asking, "Is this definitely him?" She was asking a better question. Why does the same kind of activity keep showing up right after I change something? That question calmed her down more than the answer did, because before the timeline, she was stuck in the worst version of guessing. She would open Instagram, see nothing obvious, then still feel watched. Then she would feel ashamed for feeling watched. Then she would check again. The loop was exhausting. When she put the timestamps beside each other, the story got smaller. Not less weird, just smaller. There was a profile visit window. There was a blank account. There was a public follow. There was a repeated timing pattern. That was enough to explain why she felt unsettled. It was not enough to rewrite Theo into a romantic hero. And that difference saved her from doing the thing she almost did, which was texting him, "Are you stalking my Instagram?" Jules stopped her. Jules said, "Even if it is him, what answer are you hoping for?" Mara hated that question because it was too clean. She wanted Theo to admit he had looked. Then she wanted him to admit he cared. Then, if she was being painfully honest, she wanted him to care in a way that finally cost him something. But looking is cheap. Lurking is cheap. Opening a profile at 11:18 p.m. is not the same as showing up, apologizing, or saying, "I was scared and I handled it badly." So Mara did something quieter. She asked Jules to remove the public diner tag. She stopped changing her pinned posts to test the room. And she let Ben stay out of the story until he was actually part of her life, not just proof that someone else had lost access. 3 nights later, Theo posted for the first time in weeks. It was a photo of his kitchen counter. No caption. Mara saw it and felt that old pull for maybe 10 seconds. The urge to decode. The urge to answer silence with more silence, but prettier. Then she closed the app. Not because the pattern meant nothing, because it meant exactly enough. Someone may have been checking. Someone may have been reacting through side doors. Someone may have cared only when she looked unavailable. But none of that was a relationship. The useful part of the Instagram profile visitor pattern was not that it gave Mara a person to chase. It gave her a reason to stop pretending she was imagining the tension. And once she stopped arguing with herself, the next choice got simple. She did not need to prove Theo watched. She needed to notice that watching was all he was willing to do.